And today we are using a spatula and a sponge that I actually just bought to apply this because this is a very liquidy formula. Like, see how liquidy that is? Before it was not this packaging. Before it was a much chubbier, not rounder, but just chubbier and like thicker of a bottle, and it's shorter. Now it's like longer and slimmer. Actually, this packaging is pretty nice, but I kind of prefer the previous one because it's like very recognizable. Not a lot of foundation are in that shape, but whatever, that's not like very important. I have actually owned one before. It was in the shorter, chubbier bottle. Don't know if the formula has changed or not. And by the way, I have skincare on and sunscreen, but no primer or anything. So let's go with half of our face first. And I don't know if you can tell, this is a very cool toned olive shade. I feel like this shade in the olive skin tone community is a pretty important shade, the 213 shade. That's the shade I'm using right now. So if you are a light medium cooler olive, I think this is a great shade. Actually, I have finished my skincare a while ago, maybe an hour ago, so my skin is not like the most hydrated because in the winter, even though you've done your skincare, the super moisturized status of your skin doesn't last that long. So I would say this is pretty friendly for like drier skin. I don't know if you are extremely dry, this will work or not, but from my experience and the reviews that I've seen from people, they have mentioned that their dry skin have liked this foundation. Can you tell it looks a touch heavier here? Like, it looks like it's not sitting well purely because the skin is not very well moisturized. Even though it's not dry either. It's just not like there's product floating on top of it. You know what I mean? So I think with this experience, maybe I should put a little bit moisture, somewhat of a moisture on this side and try again. But now, let's just see this coverage. I think it's a light medium coverage. Like, there's some redness that's covered. I don't think it will cover any like dark spot or anything. But it's like overall evening my skin tone pretty well. And I think the shade, even though it's a little bit cooler than my skin because I am golden olive, like a warm olive, and this is a more cooler toned olive. But overall, because it's still olive, even though it's a little bit cooler, it's still pretty nice match. Actually, maybe it's a little stretch to say it's a cool toned olive. It's maybe better to say it's a neutral olive, so it's not as warm as some of the olive shades, and there's less orange or golden tone into it. It's more like a little bit more green, if that makes sense. I don't even want to rub a lot of like skincare on my skin after I apply sunscreen. I'm always thinking about this thing. After your sunscreen has settled and you rub a lot of stuff on top of it, wouldn't that just disturb the layer of your sunscreen and make it uneven? That's one thing I always think of. So we're just gonna apply a layer hydrating mist, and let's use the other half. I have like about 2 pumps. I want to say probably you need like at least a pump and a half to cover your whole face, unless you want a very sheer finish. why is it instantly more coverage on this side? Maybe that's because I was using more than the other side. So I guess if you use more, you can get more coverage. Like, I think on this side the coverage is significantly better than this side, and that's actually a little bit more coverage than how it was in my memory. So maybe they did update the formula. I couldn't remember super well. And there's some of the acne scars in this area, and it's pretty much covered. So I guess I lied in the beginning saying this wouldn't cover any spots, because it actually did. And on this side, it doesn't really have the like a little bit dry looking type of thing. It's looking very, very smooth on basically everywhere. And this part is usually my problem area, like this half of my face. I don't know why. It's always been this way. The pores are just overall larger on this side, and there's no sinking into the pores and stuff happening. Yeah, I really like this. It's pretty nice. I want to hydrate this side with this mist on top a little bit as well. Well, it didn't change that much, so I guess if you have dry skin, moisturized before, the after doesn't really change that much. So let's see how this performs after some powder. It's pretty nice. It sets pretty nicely. I still see a little bit of that dryness we had before showing here. Other than that, I feel like it's all looking pretty nice. And I'm gonna complete my whole makeup and come back. Okay, I have completed my whole makeup, including basically every other step, like blushes and powders and eyeshadows and stuff. And I feel like everything applied beautifully. This is actually a cream blush applied on a powdered skin. This foundation didn't budge. Even though you can say it could be because of the blush is a good blush. But I think it's also showing that this would not easily to be, you know, disturbed by a blush applied on top. So again, everything is being beautiful, and I'm gonna update you once again a couple hours later at night for how it wears. Okay, 7-8-ish hours update, and I have only been inside this whole day actually. So probably not the biggest test on this foundation, but whatever, let's just check this. I think you can see that I am a little bit glowy around this nose area, but I don't think it's like very like obnoxious. I feel like this is acceptable. And I remember this area being a little bit dry because my skin was dry before I applied the foundation. And now it's not looking dry, but it's looking like it's settling into the pores in this area. Whereas this side is not. So I think probably for this foundation, hydrating your skin before is pretty important. Even though I feel like for base in general, it's just important. But I guess from the experience, for this foundation especially, it's not like you can't use this on dry skin. I'm just saying you should apply some moisture so your skin is not completely dry before you apply this, which actually makes sense because this is a very, very water-based foundation. So having just a tiny little bit of like watery type of thing, like even just a mist, can help this foundation settle way nicer than you know, like what I did, like completely on like dry skin. Not that much to say, because my blush is perfectly intact and I don't see anything else wrong. It's just this one little area because it was dry. it was pretty much perfect, and I really like this foundation. I think if I'm gonna rate this, I can give it like 8 out of 10. The 2 points mainly because of the shade range. The shade range is not all that great. I don't even think it's pale enough for most pale people. It's basically just this very narrow range from light to light medium. So if you are anywhere more than that, I'm concerned that you might not be able to find a shade that's suitable for you. But yeah, that's all. That's all I have to say. I do love this foundation. And thank you very much for watching. Bye.